It's time for the Daily Stand Up Podcast presented by Agile Dad with your host, Lee Henson. Without any further ado, let's get started. Welcome to a very special episode. In case you haven't figured out, today is May 4th. So I must say it, you know it's coming. May the 4th be with you. And I thought it would be cool today to talk about 4 lessons that I learned from the Star Wars franchise that helped me be better both in my personal and professional life. So I thought it'd be fun to go through these and these are 4 very positive, uplifting, motivating pieces, but at the same time they're going to help us with, like I said, professional things as well as personal things. So here we go. So, let's kind of start at the top, right? So if we start at the top, we would have to say lesson number 1 is it's never too late to do the right thing. So if you remember in episode 6, Return of the Jedi, Darth Vader gets into somewhat of a pickle, right? Vader decides to join the dark side. Decades earlier, he commits heinous acts against the Rebel Alliance. And as viewers, we believe that Vader represents pure evil and is totally incapable of doing any good deed until one moment in the movie. At the end of the film, Vader witnesses the Emperor inflicting immense suffering on his son. Vader is torn between either furthering his power as a member of the dark side or saving his son from utter destruction. Which one does Vader choose? Well, he saves his son, right? So he grabs the Emperor and throws him down a deep hatch, inevitably leading to the Emperor's death. Consequently, Vader suffers fatal injuries as a result of the skirmish, but not before confessing his fatherly love to his son Luke. I don't know about you, but that is a pivotal moment in the movie, right? It's crazy. And it's probably one of the most quoted parts of the movie. But I guess in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is whether you're at work or whether you're at home, it's never too late to do the right thing. Even if you've made mistakes, even if you've messed up, even if you said, oh man, I don't know what to do next, it's not too late for you to turn around and admit that sunk cost fallacy is real. It's not too late for you to turn around and say, hey, we need to make some pivots, some adjustments. The whole concept of inspect and adapt and the concept of doing the right thing is going to help us take ourselves out of a bad place and put ourselves into a better place. Hope you see where this is going. Okay, lesson number 2. Everyone has a good side and a bad side. So throughout the series, we see good characters tempted by evil. Conversely, we see evil characters that are tempted by good. So Luke Skywalker is not immune to the allure of evil, right? The Emperor really tempts Luke to go to the dark side at the end of Return of the Jedi. Before engaging in battle, the Emperor puts on his best sales pitch. He says, hey, Luke, join the dark side and fulfill your true destiny. If you look at Luke's face when this happens, you can see that he's in an awkward, bad place. The temptation is real, right? He looks like he's been offered something that's the most amazing thing in the world and he knows he shouldn't take. He knows the odds of the Rebel Alliance are stacked against him. And it should have been really easy for him to join forces with the Empire, along with his father, and dominate the galaxy for the foreseeable future. They could have been the best father son combo ever, right? But Skywalker snaps out of it. And he says, no, he says, I can resist the temptation to the dark side. And of course, the rest is history. The truth is, when we meet people, I'm going to quote Meg Whitman here. So Meg Whitman had a quote back when I was at eBay very, very early on. And here's what she said. She said, people are inherently good. They don't intend to do bad things. They're not trying to mess up each other's life. And I believe that. There are very few people out there who wake up every morning and say, let me see what I can do to screw up the lives of others, right? I don't believe that happens. I think that people are inherently good, and it's our responsibility to notice the good in people and to recognize their positive attributes and uplift them. Because the truth is, even the darkest person has light inside of them. It's just a matter of trying to find it. And the world isn't necessarily black and white. Some of the people you might think are the best people could be some of the worst people when they're away from you. It's just, it's amazing to see how we can stop being judgmental, but understand that everything has a yin and yang. Everything's got a black and white. Everything's got an up and down. Everything's got a positive and a negative. That we're not perfect. And I think that if we just surround ourselves with positive attributes and recognize when people are showing courage or love or listening or happiness, that's going to help us avoid some of the negative things like greed, anger, jealousy, and fear. Okay. So check yourself before you wreck yourself. Oh, that was an old quote. All right. Lesson number 3. Stillness is the key. So we all know about the force, right? So Jedi Knights have the ability to make objects fly through the air or to do a force choke or all these different things. The force is a power that only very few individuals have a capability to harness. So the only way that they can usually do this is when they're in a state of calmness, which is really, really interesting. So if you remember in episode 5, in The Empire Strikes Back, by the way, my favorite, Yoda, the little green guy, right? We all know who he is. He decides he's going to train Luke Skywalker. And in a turn of events, Luke's spaceship sinks to the bottom of the creek. He attempts to utilize the Force to levitate the ship out, but to no avail. All seems hopeless until Yoda, the tiny little fella, single-handedly levitates the ship out of the creek in safety and put on the ground in safety. We watch Luke use the Force. He just doesn't look natural. He's trying way too hard. You can see him grimacing. You can see him saying, "Come on!" You could feel his pain. With Yoda, Yoda just kind of goes, "Yeah, whatever." It just lifts it up and moves it. It's like Zen-like calmness, right? But the truth is, when we're calm, cool, and collected, we make better judgment calls and we do better things. So I think that whether it's each day when we meditate, or if we go into prayer, if we're spiritual, or if we just take time to slow down and breathe, we can't get mad at every single thing that happens in our day. We can't get mad with the road rage and the traffic on the road. We can't get mad because the team didn't finish an item they committed to. We can't get mad because we are going to be called into an office and have a talking to because of something that happened in the organization. I mean, there's no excuse. There's no reason to be upset. So if we could be a little more like Yoda and be a little less frustrated, I think that we'll discover that we have the ability to really tune in and do incredible things beyond our wildest dreams. But we have to tap into that spiritual power that makes it possible. And I think that power that makes it possible it's inherent in all of us, but it requires us to be in a still, quiet place to be able to hear the voice and to be able to take action, right? Okay, final one, lesson number 4. Fear is a deadly motivator. Oh my goodness, I love this one. Before Darth Vader turned to the dark side, he was known as Anakin Skywalker, my daughter's favorite character, a promising young Jedi Knight. Anakin was a moral man. He wanted what was best for the galaxy and served as a protector of the people. Until he didn't. The biggest factor in Anakin's shift from good to bad was the motivation of fear. Anakin feared he was going to lose Padme, the love of his life. Anakin had dreams of Padme suffering a painful death. Anakin allowed the fear to ruin his life. He could no longer make rational choices. Paranoia became his new normal, right? Everything became distorted. And with fear, Anakin became susceptible to the influence of others. He would listen to anyone who could alleviate his fear. And this is where Senator Palpatine entered the picture, the corrupt political senator and eventual mastermind of the evil empire. He promised Anakin, if they joined forces, that they could save Padme. Spoiler alert, they didn't save Padme. But Anakin's fear turns to anger and bitterness, which leads to a shift to the dark side and leads him down that path of darkness, right? So I guess what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is, to summarize this last lesson, is that you can't let fear rule your life. If you do, it's going to ruin it. Whether it's fear of embarrassment, fear of losing, fear of not finishing things, fear of what am I going to say or what am I going to do, right? Everything in life has risks. Every single thing we do. And we can't let fear ruin it for us. Fear will drive us into our shells. It'll isolate us from opportunities. It'll prevent us from making forward progression. And the worst part about all this is fear is the most common motivator for bad decisions. So when you're making bad choices, it's because you're scared. If everyone lived under the rule of fear, the world would be a pretty scary place. The truth is, we need to move past fear. And the only way we can do that is by focusing and taking control of the things we can control. But here's the big one: recognizing the things that we do not have control over. So if we can separate and say, hey, these are things we have control over, these are things we can do, and also acknowledge that there's some things that just lay outside of our control and there's nothing we can do about it. We should find ways to lead with integrity, curiosity, and hopefulness instead of trying to lead with fear and intimidate others to feel like they have to do things our way. So those four lessons or four takeaways came from four very different movies, all Star Wars themed, but they're all relevant to both our everyday work life in an agile workspace as well as our personal and professional lives. We need to make certain that we are living in such a way that others can look to us and know that we're behaving in a way that makes sense, that we're honoring the force, that we're focused, that we work with openness, that we're respectful of others and their wishes, that we meet all of our commitments, and that we act with extreme courage. And if you do those five things, my friends, there's nothing that's going to stop you because the force is with you. Until next time, I encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, may the force be with you.